An excerpt of the epic novel, Tares Among the Wheat, Volume 2, Chapter 7, Romance and War, describing the tragic Dust Bowl, a backdrop for this segment of the framed story. While the financial, stock, and commodities markets raged on, erratically, out in the Great Plains another frenzy developed. Several bumper crops of cereal grains, mostly wheat, in the plains of Kansas, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Texas prompted agricultural industrialists and poor farmers alike to borrow money for bigger and more numerous tractors, thus, to plow billions of acres of virgin prairie grass and plant it to grain crops. By the end of the summer of 1929, angels peering down from heaven could see vast areas of raw earth stretching from the Texas Rio Grande and due north, up the mid-continent plain, to the South Saskatchewan River of Canada. As if Old Man Earth was reclining on his side, it appeared as a belt around his belly. The Bible Belt had acquired a second name, the Wheat Belt, and the belly the belt stretched across became known as America's breadbasket. Where the intense focus of the searing summer sun had shone on lush green tallgrass prairie lands for thousands of millennia, the sun now baked billions of bare acres of plowed earth as hard clods of gumbo. The Great Plains had been transformed into a terracotta taco baking platter some 600 miles wide and 1,600 miles in latitude. That baking surface was unwittingly created with characteristics to absorb and store so much heat as to drive away the rain, perpetuating and expanding a new man-made desert. So enormous was the naked brown scar on the face of the planet that it could have been viewed without a telescope from the Earth's moon. The seasonal heat that camped on the southern plain each summer became even more concentrated where the cereal grain crops, spring and summer wheat, oats, barley, and rye, were harvested in May and June. Most of those fields of stubble were then tilled to bare earth and left naked to bake in the sun throughout the searing heat of July, August, and much of September. Cereal grain crops turned from green to gold, progressing from northern Kansas to central Saskatchewan province as the harvest season transpired from July to September. Thus, the central and northern plains, where summers were shorter and more moderate, were spared the drought-enhancing effects of millions of acres of exposed raw earth in the southwest of the Great Plains, which was subjected to as many as 90 days of scorching sun. Whether God sought vengeance or merely observed the tragedy with pity for his free-spurred subjects having to pay their just dues, the party was over for the greedy and the sinful, and it was time to pay the fiddlers. The innocent, faithful, and modest would have to suffer undeserved, but if their faith and sense of decency prevailed, they would see the Lord's promise of the Sermon on the Mount. Thus, the class of laborers, shop merchants, small farmers, and craftsmen would suffer the brunt of the punishment. For many of the lower class, their precarious existence was reduced to penniless vagrancy.